you are proposing president's rule because the state machinery has failed completely. What is the central government waiting for?
That's our biggest concern and our biggest question, because they are acting only on their interest for their stability. They feel that elections are far away and that things will subside and people will forget naturally. People have got short memory.
181 people have died. The toll suggests that it's not easy to forget. It's one of the worst conflicts that India has seen in decades.
It is the worst, because whatever violence that India has seen till now, we have never seen people being slaughtered, people being beheaded, chopped up, burnt alive, buried alive in this manner. This is obviously the worst violence that the nation has ever faced. The whole crisis that we are seeing today, it is not met in one day. It is the result of bad government policies for the last many decades. Peace in Northeast, especially in Manipur, we haven't known peace for the last above 70 years since we merged with the Union of India. We don't know what is real peace. Suppressed, forced peace, it may seem to be there, but that is not peace. It's not an ethnic conflict. It looks like an ethnic conflict. It is made to look like an ethnic conflict. No, this is not. This is a conflict between the general interest of the people of Manipur and against narcotics mafia. The Kukis are playing the minority card and the religious card, victim card, whatever they want to play. But the issue is completely, not these three cards that they have been playing. It has got a lot to do with infiltration and the illegal influx that have been pumped into Manipur by drug money.
In such a charged atmosphere, is it possible for both the communities, Kukis and Meiteis, to coexist? Is there any hope?
We will, because this is not the first time we have faced this ethnic crisis in Manipur. There have been many ethnic crises we faced in the past. We came out of it. And this present crisis being manufactured by the state, one, the state government is there, a responsible government is there, but the communities will come together.
Narco-terrorism has become the buzzword when we talk about the Manipur conflict. Our guest today will help us find the answers behind the drug cartel and politics behind it. She is a former police officer who resigned after she arrested a drug lord in 2018. Later she fought elections in 2022 but lost. She is also the mother of 13 dogs and 5 cats. Thounaojam Brinda ma'am, welcome to NL interview.
Thank you.
So I didn't want to start off my interview with this question. While we were coming from the hotel, we saw some sort of normalcy has reached. I was speaking to one of the top security officials yesterday. He said the situation is not as bad as mainstream is portraying, not as bad as what happened on May 3rd and May 4th. So whatever the fighting is happening on the fringes, on the periphery. Do you agree to this assessment of one of the security officials we spoke yesterday?
What's happening now is in the periphery. Bombs are being dropped by drone, by air. People are being bombed and being attacked, and people are getting killed on both sides. So just because the violence has shifted to the periphery, it doesn't necessarily reflect that normalcy has returned. So from guns, we have promoted into bombs now. So we just have to find out the rationality between guns and bombs.
You have been a trenchant critique of Manipur Chief Minister Biren Singh. If I could read out the last 2 tweets that you posted. On July 24th, you tweeted, highest level of probe should be conducted on the role Manipur CM in the Manipur violence. The man is not savior of Meiteis as portrayed. He has sold Meiteis and Manipur. On July 21st, you tweeted another post. Government of India and Government of Manipur, state machinery is collapsed. Stop treating Manipuris like livestock. No more show under Article 355. Let's have the real show with the president rule under Article 356. Drug GOM, that's Government of Manipur, cannot fight this war. What is the basis behind these tweets?
Government of Manipur, it has failed in last 3 months to effectively bring things under control. And the government of India has again failed. What have failed? They have shown. So in this situation, we have given enough time and opportunities to both the responsible parties for accountability. They have failed. So necessarily under this condition, we all know that law and order in the state has totally collapsed and administrative machineries have failed to work effectively. So under the constitution, in this prevailing situation, it is the president, head of the nation, who should interfere in the crisis, because when both the machineries, state and the government, they fail, the president has to necessarily interfere and intervene to bring things under control. And I myself was part of the narcotics as a police. During my direct association with the Chief Minister, I knew how involved he is in drugs and drug mafia. So in the present crisis that we are facing, which is an outcome of deep underlying narco mafia and its nexus with politics, we cannot expect a government which has got deep nexus with drug mafia to effectively handle a crisis as this.
I'll come back to the allegations that you're leveling against Biren Singh, how he is involved in drug narcotism. But before this, you are proposing president's rule because the state machinery has failed completely. What is the central government waiting for?
That's our biggest concern and our biggest question, because they are acting only on their interest for their stability. They feel that elections are far away and that things will subside and people will forget naturally. People have got short memory. So they feel that a general election in the state is 4 years away and then parliament election is next year. So for them, it's only about perpetuation and stability. This is what they seem to feel. But we, as the people, can we afford to, continue in this manner and risk breaking up Manipur, balkanizing Manipur? Because of this, because its effect we are seeing it's happening in Mizoram. It will spread to Assam, it will spread to Meghalaya, it will spread to Nagaland. Can we afford this wildfire to spread out to the whole northeast and balkanize the people, people who have been living together on ethnic grounds, ethnic lines? So unless the president interferes and bring things under control or they change their chief minister, but Kukis and the Meiteis, they'll never come to the talks for dialogue, for initiating peace.
You're saying the central government is of the view that people will forget and they want stability, so they are sticking with Biren Singh. But 181 people have died. The toll suggests that it's not easy to forget. It's one of the worst conflicts that India has seen in decades.
It is the worst, because whatever violence that India has seen till now, we have never seen people being slaughtered, people being beheaded, chopped up, burnt alive, buried alive in this manner. This is obviously the worst violence that the nation has ever faced.
I'll come back to the present situation, prevailing situation in Manipur. I'll go back to your stint as police officer. You joined as police officer in 2013, and in 2021 you resigned, and that was your second resignation. Before this, you also resigned in 2016. During your term, you caught one of the biggest drug lords in Manipur, Lokshoi Zhao, and he was the chairperson of Autonomous District Council of Chandel district. But he was acquitted by special court, and Could you tell us what led to the acquittal of Mr. Zhao?
See, it was a long drama. The day after he was arrested, the Chief Minister ordered me to release him in exchange of his wife or son of the arrested ADC, because he turned out to be the right-hand man of his second wife, who is an elected MLA from Chandel constituency. I didn't heed to his orders, went ahead with the arrest, and then thereafter he again ordered my SP and me through the DGP Manipur to remove the charge sheet that we had submitted to the court, because on failure of the submission of charge sheet within 180 days, then the arrested accused are automatically let off on bail. So to let off the accused on bail automatically, the Chief Minister ordered that we remove the charge sheet, and we didn't remove that, and it was there all over the news again. And then right after that, judges were transferred, and the PPs were transferred, and new judge that came into the NDPS court, she pressured me into letting off Zhao.
She, you mean to say the second wife of Biren Singh?
No, the judge.
The judge, okay.
The new judge was transferred to the NDPS court. She coaxed me into letting off Zhao on flimsy grounds, and because of which again there was a huge uproar, and then I protested against that, and there is this contempt court pending in the state high court with regard to how I had a face off with her, and obviously the accused were let off, and they booked only two small young boys, and the rest of the remaining of all the accused that I arrested, they have been let off, obviously on the intervention of the government.
Yeah. So you're saying Zhao was acquitted because Biren Singh's second wife contested election from the same constituency, and
Very much.
And he holds sway in that constituency.
Very much.
It's kind of contradictory when Biren Singh says that he is fighting war against drugs, and he is there to destroy poppy cultivation. But you are saying that second wife of Biren Singh, and she was contesting from Chandel constituency, and Zhao was the right-hand man of Biren Singh's second wife. But where does it sit with Biren Singh's claims that he is fighting war against drugs?
Exactly. His nexus with drugs can be established from certain evidence. Chandel is one of the districts most affected by poppy. So his wife is from Chandel. So if he is fighting this war against drugs effectively, then Chandel should not be on the map of poppy in Manipur, number one. Because his wife is there, and effectively it should be under control.
So Chandel
which is obviously
Chandel is
not
in a
there.
way untouchable for Biren Singh.
It's untouchable, and if you go to Sajik Tampak, which is under Chandel district, it's infested with poppy. It is one of the most inaccessible terrains in Manipur. That is number one. Number two, he was directly involved in pressuring me and my unit into letting off this ADC, former ADC chairman, who was caught with huge amount of drugs. So again, there, if he's fighting the war genuinely, then he shouldn't have interfered. And then number three, nexus with Sioux. Government of Manipur is a signatory of the tripartite ceasefire agreement amongst the three parties.
Insurgent groups. Three parties.
Militant groups.
Yeah.
Government of India, Government of Manipur, and Kukis militants, which are under suspension of these things agreement. And this we call as address as Sioux. And so Government of Manipur is a party to the whole ceasefire agreement. So if it is fighting, he himself admitted that government has found out that some members of Sioux are involved in drugs. Then if the war is genuine, then government should have withdrew its stand on this ceasefire agreement. which he has not, which the government has not. They claim that it has withdrawn. These are all false. They just extended the SHU agreement. Recently, we have to find out the time and the date on which the agreement was extended. So these 3 points will effectively prove that the war on drugs being waged by the present minister and his government is just totally farce and false.
I mean, in a court affidavit, you also said the same thing, that you were forced to let go Mr. Zhao.
Yeah, I was forced.
Yeah, this is what you submitted in a court.
Yes.
In your affidavit. But you have already answered why Biren Singh at the time protected Zhao. I want to ask you one question about politics and drug. When you go to North India, it's caste that plays a big role if you want to win election. Here, people say it's money. If you have money, only then you can win elections. You also fought an election in 2022 on JDU ticket, and you lost that election. You got some 4,000 votes. Could you tell us what role does money play in politics here?
Money is the biggest consideration when it comes to election in Manipur. Because our constituencies being small and the number of voters are small. Most of them comes to some 25,000. And in some exceptions, it may exceed 30,000. So for any, rich candidate to distribute 2,000, 3,000 per voter is nothing. So that makes it, easy for any, rich people to contest election and buy the votes. So that is one reason. And for years since 1972, we have been successively having this corrupt representatives in the state, and New Delhi has always facilitated and encouraged only corrupt politicians to get elected. They have never tried to clean up our system. They have never taken responsibility of installing a responsible government in the state. So these are the reasons why money play the most important role in our elections. So this money, the problem is that money is coming from drugs. One of the biggest players in the election of Manipur is the role of the drug mafia and its money, militant as well as money in our election. It has aggravated recently, and it is going to aggravate unless and until we make a turn around and bring about a reform.
Since you're talking about militants and underground groups, this conflict has led to the surfacing of these UG groups. Do you agree to that?
Yes, very much. It has only proven that they are deeply
involved. And there is
involved.
A flood of sophisticated weapons.
See, India today, I feel they reported 2 truckloads of weapons that have come into Manipur for Kuki militants. And just recently also there was a report in the local news that 1 truck has been clandestinely delivered to the Kuki militants. So all these weapons, these are coming from China through Burma. So what is funding these weapons? Naturally, they are drugs. So the militants, their proliferation, weapon proliferation, and their involvement in the perpetuation of these successive governments, these are all being funded and possible only by drugs, drug money.
Since you're quoting, I mean, it was not part of questionnaire that I prepared. Since you're talking about, since you're quoting media, local media, to buttress your argument. Yesterday, I think Imphal Free Press, they published a story saying 10 Kuki militants have died in the gunfight. But this was not the case when we checked with the Churachandpur police station, Churachandpur district hospital. We also spoke with the representatives from Kuki community. So we got to know there was only 1 death and 8 were injured. So how trustworthy are local newspapers when you are quoting them?
As far as the reliability of the news reports, government is muffling almost all the media houses. Only few of them have dared to come out with truth and effective reporting. So it depends on the credibility of the media house, how far their reports are reliable.
Another phrase that has been thrown about since the conflict started is golden triangle. What is this golden triangle, and what is the, what is the relevance of Manipur in this golden triangle?
The highest quality heroin was produced from Golden Triangle. But for poppy, what we have to know is that
I'm sorry, if I could, golden triangle consists of countries?
Thailand, Myanmar, and Laos.
Laos,
Actually.
yeah.
So it was coming from Golden Triangle, and for poppy, any land that you use for poppy cultivation, it can be grown only for 3 seasons because of the amount of pesticides and the fertilizers that we put on the soil. The soil is rendered, completely dead by the end of 3 seasons. You cannot grow more than 3 seasons of poppy. So you have to keep on expanding the land. This is one of the reasons why it is expanding in Manipur at such a huge rate. And because of the political situation in the Southeast Asia and the climate viability and lack of effective governance in the Northeast, starting from Arunachal till Manipur, the whole Northeast is infested with poppy. It is not only in Manipur, the whole issue is. Arunachal has still not discovered and acknowledged the crisis that they have in their state. The state is much bigger than Manipur, and you must find out the total area under poppy cultivation in this state. And for Manipur being small, 92% of the total land area is in the hills. So in all the hill districts, poppy cultivation is present in varying degrees.
Since we are talking about Golden Triangle, what are the geopolitical repercussions for India if this war goes on?
It will be very costly for India. It is already costing its national security because drugs, whole international drug cartel, the most powerful drug cartel operates from China. And the whole supply of drugs in the subcontinent is from China. Heroin is processed from there in Myanmar. Methamphetamine, crystal meth, all these imported drugs are controlled completely from China. So China is controlling the subcontinent's whole drug economy and infesting the subcontinent with people from Myanmar and of Chinese origin. As we all know, the whole present crisis has got a lot with all this infiltration from Myanmar. The Kukis are playing the minority card and the religious card, victim card, whatever they want to play. But the issue is completely, not these 3 cards that they have been playing. It has got a lot to do with infiltration and the illegal influx that have been pumped into Manipur by drug money. So with this amount of people in the Northeast, these people have been given domicile. These people have been enrolled in our electorate. They have got Aadhaar. And these people deciding our elections, 1 person, 1 vote. And even the Burmese have been able to get elected in our Indian election. So think these people deciding our election and deciding, becoming the decision maker of the region, what threat it poses to the national security, general national security concern of the nation.
No, you're talking about a former parliamentarian from Burma becoming member of,
Yes.
becoming MLA here.
Yes.
In Manipur.
Yes.
And you're talking about the illegal immigration.
Yes.
From Burma. Who are responsible to prevent this?
Government, obviously.
Yeah.
It is the state government and government of India. They are responsible for controlling this.
Why haven't they done so?
Because of their nexus with drug cartel. They are neck deep in it. They are part of the whole mafia.
The central government, state government?
State government in particular.
Who should civilians look up to if all the government, whole of the system, if the system is involved in it?
We have to reform the system.
MLAs, MPs, central
We're
government.
working on that.
Ministers.
We have to reform the system. We have to remove drug money out of electoral process, and we have to stop electing these people who are funded by drugs. And many of them, people who were who got elected in the earlier elections, they have been charged for involvement in drugs. Many of them are already there. And in the recent, there was this claim by the UKLF president that they supported BJP at the behest of the Home Minister and the Assam Chief Minister in the election. And the UKLF, as we all know, is deeply into drugs. So these are the obvious nexus between the government officials and the drug-involved militants and the drug mafia. There has to be reform, drastic reform.
So what are the benefits that you see for politicians or for the political system if the war goes on for few more months?
Their nexus will continue. Nexus continuation means the profit will always be there. The profit they share in different capacities, it will remain there, and they will solidify their status. Because naturally, if people can't break them, then they become invincible. So the effect of drug mafia, it will aggravate, and it will be hefty for the upcoming generations in the near future.
But don't businesses boom, illegal or legal,
They
during
will boom
peace?
automatically.
During peace?
During peace in Northeast, especially in Manipur, we haven't known peace for the last above 70 years since we merged with the Union of India. We don't know what is real peace. Suppressed, forced peace, it may seem to be there, but that is not peace. So we still haven't experienced the real peace in its real sense for the last 70 years. So if peace has to be there, it has to start from the ground level, and the government of India should effectively work by changing its policy towards Manipur and its people.
What's real peace for you? You're saying for 70 years Manipur hasn't seen peace.
There has to be responsible government which delivers caters to the needs of the people from both the hills and the valley, because we must know that not only the hills are suffering, the valley people also are suffering under bad governance, partisan politics. So it is the sole responsibilities with the government of India. They should reform the electoral process here to weed out the enemies, to remove corrupt politicians from the state assemblies and install responsible government with effective participation from the people. Without doing that, there can be no meaningful peace.
Since the Modi government came to power in 2014, the government's focus has been Look East policy, developing Northeast, building corridors. How does this conflict align with Look East policy or Act East policy?
Act East policy is on its execution phase as of now. The highways are being completed. It is going to pass through Manipur. Manipur is the most strategic state in the whole Northeast. So the state being burned in this manner, it is naturally going to adversely affect the execution of its Act East policy. And with the amount of drugs that is coming in from Manipur and through Manipur to the whole subcontinent, it is going to naturally affect. But Act East policy, with the completion of these trans-Asian highways and the international highways, it is only going to facilitate the easy transportation of drugs.
You're saying the infrastructure is being built for transportation of drugs.
Not only for drugs, it is being built for facilitating market, but it will automatically benefit facilitate the easy transportation of drugs. Naturally, because without effective governance in the region, you can't stop any of these activities. So
what is the bigger game behind this conflict? It is said that war is fought to achieve long-lasting peace. Is this the case in Manipur?
This present crisis, this present war will not bring any effective lasting peace in the region, because it has turned communal, and Meiteis have been made to take the sole responsibility of defending itself and people from the onslaught of this drug mafia. So this responsibility should have been borne by the state agencies, which they have not. Even the Central Security Forces, 1 lakh is reportedly deployed in Manipur. They have not effectively controlled or taken part in bringing the crisis under control, and the state police is not effective in controlling it. So it has been left to the Meiteis primarily to take defend the state and its interest. So the common people, how long can they defend themselves, and how long can they effectively defend the interests of the state without effective participation of the government?
You're calling it communal, the conflict. Is it communal or
No, this is not a communal conflict as it is portrayed out.
it's an ethnic conflict?
It's not an ethnic conflict. It looks like an ethnic conflict. It is made to look like an ethnic conflict. No, this is not. This is a conflict between the general interest of the people of Manipur, and against narcotics mafia. So who all are in this narcotics mafia? Government is part of it. So, but the issue has been portrayed out to be just an ethnic conflict between the Meiteis and the Kukis.
Yeah. So this narcotics mafia, does it also involve, or does it also include Meiteis?
Narcotics mafia, I divided it into 3 categories. The top level, level number 1, it comprised of the politicians who have got nexus with the mafia.
Does it comprise of most of the politicians or all politicians in
Many
Manipur?
of them, because majority of them, I will say, because directly or indirectly they have been funded and they are involved in the whole operation. And the drug lords, this comprises of the
second layer,
top level.
top level.
And the second layer is of the financiers and the middlemen. And the third level is occupied by the militants. So these first top 2, first level and the second level, it comes from all communities, whether they are natives, indigenous, or from outside. All communities are taking part in the mafia in varying capacities, different proportions. Although some community play a major part, just as we are saying Kukis, majority of the whole mafia is controlled by them.
So it's a big claim to make that the fight is between Meiteis and the drug mafia. But are Kukis okay with drug mafia? That's what you're saying?
Not all of
This
them
is the
are.
inference that I make.
Not all of them are okay with the drug mafia. Many of them are against drug cartel being operated in the hills. But they have to come out and stand up openly against the mafia.
But then that way,
unless they do that, people will always blame them altogether.
But that way it would be people who support mafia, people who don't support mafia, rather than categorizing these two adverse reasons
exactly
in the bracket of looking at their ethnicity.
We have to identify who all are taking part in the mafia, in controlling the whole cartel. And instead of clubbing one whole community together and blaming them all together for the whole thing, it is wrong. It only benefits the people who occupy the top echelon of the cartel.
Now we are reaching towards the conclusion of this interview. I'll just second last question about this conflict. It seems that this conflict has crossed all limits of barbarity. We have seen 2 women being paraded naked. We also saw the video of a 17-year-old student who was brutally murdered, and male friend was also killed. In such a charged atmosphere, is it possible for both the communities, Kukis and Meiteis, to coexist? Is there any hope?
They will. We will, because this is not the first time we have faced this ethnic crisis in Manipur. There have been many ethnic crises we faced in the past. We came out of it. And this present crisis being manufactured by the state, the state government is there, a responsible government is there, but the communities will come together, because practically no ethnic community can exist in isolation. Nowhere it is possible. So these justifications being raised about separate administration and all this blah blah, these are not justifiable claims. We have to issue the root cause, which is the drug mafia. We have to weed out drug-related politicians from the state assembly, and we have to start the fight from there. And then only with good governance things will be resolved, and people have to coexist. We must learn to coexist together, thrive together, prosper together. Only after that we will decide everything.
You just touch upon separate administration, the demand raised by 10 Kuki MLAs, group of 10 Kuki MLAs. But if you see the situation right now, administration, people who are in the government, they are working from areas where they feel safe. So Kukis who are in the government, they are working from hilly areas. Metis who are also in the government, they are working from the valley. So the division is already there. It's just that the government has to put it in paper. Is it correct?
See, that is the claim. The problem is between these Kuki MLAs and drug mafia and nexus with the government of Manipur. So this nexus has to be broken. This nexus must be cut off. We have to break this nexus. And the information has to begin from the ground. And they have to cooperate in bringing the drug mafia under control. And the poppy proliferation in the hill districts, especially in Chandel, especially in Surachandpur, they have to take part in effectively control this cartel in their concerned constituencies. They just cannot justify the claim to balkanize the state based on flimsy grounds that have been promoted by the government. They are also part of the government. They must accept and acknowledge this also.
So for you, drugs is the source of all evils that buffet Manipur?
The whole crisis that we are seeing today, it is not met in one day. It is the result of bad government policies for the last many decades. And the drugs have only facilitated everything. So we have to bring about changes in our policy matters, policy level, and control drugs effectively to solve everything.
Brinda ma'am, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
This is Shiv Narayan Rajput from Manipur with my colleagues Pratik Goyal and Priyali Dhingra. We could bring you these interviews, video stories and ground reports because you have our back. For more, you can subscribe to Newslaundry and pay to keep news free.